Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folare. Let's revisit Osun. Osun is all done, right? Done and dusted, but not so, really, because as you recall, many people have been congratulating the winner as declared by INEC, Senator Demola Adeleke. He won, according to the results. He won, and the figures by which he won, he had 403,371 votes to the sitting governor Oyetola's 375,027 votes. So, you know, it's straightforward, it's clear. But you recall that Governor Oyetola had not yet congratulated him. Those are the figures for you there. And the reason was that he was still studying it. Well, he was studying the results of the election. Well, now, I think we can say that the study has finished because last week, the governor indeed, you know, filed a petition at the Osun State Election Petition Tribunal. And so this morning, we have with us one of the lawyers, you know, that are close to Governor Oyetola, and we'll be looking at it. I'm talking about Mr. Ibrahim Lawal. Mr. Ibrahim Lawal, he's head of chambers of one of the largest firms in the Southwest. I don't think I'll go into any advertisement since he hasn't paid anything. Let me just leave it at that. You're very welcome. Thank you very much for coming on, Ibrahim.
It's a pleasure being here.
Indeed. You are no stranger to Osun. In fact, you worked with the governor before, Governor, you know, Oyetola, if I'm not right. You were in government.
Yes, I worked under Gboyega as the Senior Special Assistant on Legal and Judicial Sector Reform. And as such, I had a working relationship with Governor Oyetola when he was the Chief of Staff to the Governor of Gboyega. So I have had working relationship with Governor Oyetola in the past.
Okay. And now, many people, especially if they're out of the Southwest, out of Osun, might be a bit surprised that we thought that was done and dusted, but clearly not so. Governor Oyetola does not see it like that. He and his team have looked at the results and find that there are anomalies. Now, what is the main plank, the main thrust, shall we say, of the disagreement of Oyetola with the result as declared? Because many people say, look, he beat, Senator Adeleke beat the governor by 28,000 votes. This is not a matter of 7,000 or 8,000 or 10,000, 28,000. So before we get into the nitty-gritty, what would be the complaint of the governor? Where is it coming from? Where is the main plank of the complaint coming from?
Yes, thank you very much. The complaint of the governor is that the election was not conducted in compliance with the Electoral Act. You know, the new Electoral Act is different from the ones we have been, you know, having in the past. In the past, you have physical accreditation. But here, in this election, the election is very clear, particularly Section 47 of the Electoral Act, subsection 47, subsection 2, said that to vote, the presiding officer shall use a smart card reader or any other technological device that may be prescribed by the Commission for the accreditation of voters to verify, confirm, or authenticate the particulars of the intending voter in the manner prescribed by the Commission. And the Commission here had, prescribed BVAS, the
Bimodal Voter Accreditation
System as the only credible means of accreditation.
Okay.
And the report we got from the field was that in many of the polling units, BVAS were not used appropriately. It didn't capture the numbers of accredited. We didn't rely mainly on the report we got from our polling agents. We also demanded by law, we demanded the copy of the report of beavers from INEC, which we got. We got the CTC copy of the report of beavers across all the polling units. And we discovered that in 10 local governments and 749 polling units, accreditation through beavers was less or were less than the number of votes cast in those units. What I'm trying to say is that when you look at the number of votes cast for the parties and the accreditation through beavers was lower than the number, which means that there are overvoting.
Which means that there were more voters than accredited by
beavers. Oh, and I can go ahead to give you example of such, so that people will know that it is not just a fluke. If you look at Eden North, Ward 5, Alusekere, Unit 004, Owode Commercial Primary School, the total votes cast in that unit was 1,267. And it will interest you to know that beavers recorded only 858 as accredited voters. That's in Eden North, where the governor-elect, comes from.
Okay.
If you also look at Ward 5, Unit 14, 206 number of votes were recorded for parties against 118 accredited voters through beavers. In Ward 15 of the same Ward 5, Alusekere, 177 votes were recorded, while in forms ECHA, while in beavers reports, 108 accredited voters were recorded in beavers.
So that consistently, what you're saying, there were more voters than beavers accredited.
That's what.
And these were counted.
Those are our votes. Those are our issues with, the election. So it takes somebody who could sit down and look at it very well before you can, because it is not enough to say the election went well as they want us to believe, but
INEC
the wish of the people.
Okay, the wish of the people, and then, well, first of all, I think the first respondent will be INEC in this.
Yes.
INEC, and then PDP, and
yes.
then the governor-elect,
yes.
The senator himself.
Yes.
Now, so you're saying that in spite of, INEC has been getting kudos for doing all it can, the Electoral Act, revised, amended, all of this has sort of put our voting system in a better place than it used to be. You are saying that for all of that, it wasn't as it should be, because you are challenging the results, 749 polling units across 10 local governments.
Yes.
So that's not just one or two, examples. This is a mass. You are saying this is
mass.
It's a mass mistake.
Yes.
Let us put it like that.
Yes.
That you think needs to be rectified.
Yes. You see, the reality about it is that while we want to commend INEC for whatever they have done, it is not yet Uhuru. They still need to go back to the drawing board to, up their game. If we had kept quiet and we have not seen, we won't be helping INEC. I will not be helping our electoral system to get to where everybody could have an election and go to sleep. The thing, what we are talking about here is enormous. If you look at the number of votes that were affected by that mistake, or the way INEC had conducted themselves, not in tandem. So the figure is huge, and so we cannot afford to keep quiet and say that we will not. We are talking about 173,655 votes that are affected by that particular, mismanagement.
And for both parties.
For both parties.
And figures can be a bit, complex to understand. But if indeed your prayers were to be, before we even get to prayers being granted, your premise right now, if those contentious votes, according to you, were to be removed,
yes,
then the figure that Senator Adeleke got would reduce by 113,000.
Yes, reduced by 113,151 votes.
And
our own vote will be reduced by 60,504 votes.
Thereby altering
the winner, and the winner ultimately will be Governor Oyetola.
Okay, at this early stage, Elder David in Alemosho has called in already. Good morning to you, Elder.
Thank you, sir. God bless you there.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Oyetola for Tribunal, it is a very good thing. I think we're having the best democracy now since 1999. This government has made it very easy. In fact, I'm very, very surprised because if this government can do it within 7 years, that they make everything very easy when you talk of election malpractice and all that. What is happening is, yes, it has happened in Zamfara. When they got judgment, APC have 500 and something thousand, PDP have 200 and something. I think almost some few days to the swearing-in, the Supreme Court gave judgment that the APC have no candidate. The PDP candidate was declared as a winner. It is exactly what is actually happening in Osun State. We should expect the same result. What happened in Bayelsa is the same thing. The Bayelsa governor-elect, they rely on, they don't have any problem. It was only the deputy, the PDP went to court, they have a fake certificate, and they discovered why it was true. Then just 3 days to swearing in, the president was there expecting after conversations of everybody. Then at the end of the day, they nullify it. And the APC man was sworn in. The PDP man was sworn in, I'm sorry to say. So there's no problem about that. So if exactly what we are hearing is what happened in Osun State, definitely people should expect it. There's nothing bad in that. But kudos to this government for making the electoral law in such a way that nobody can ring. Unlike what happened in 2007, when the election in Osun State, in Ekiti State, in Edo State, in Ondo, we are ringing in favor of PDP.
Okay. Well, thank you for calling in, Elder. Well, the matter has now moved to the tribunal. The governor has already said. In fact, there were newspaper reports saying earlier that a team of 50 lawyers, headline writers will write what they can to garner voters. But I was thinking, what will 50 lawyers be doing in court? But, but it probably, the import of that was to show the seriousness with which Governor Oyetola was going to be approaching this matter.
You see, it's a constitutional issue. The Constitution allows a party to, hire lawyers of his choice. Mm-hmm. So if he has the capacity to hire 50 lawyers, 100 lawyers, there is no problem about it. But let me also say that there was no time the governor or any of the spokesperson of the governor said they are hiring 50 lawyers. Sensationalism at times. Even the learned Sikh that was interviewed never said the governor is hiring or was hiring 50 lawyers. But it was just, journalist congestion.
Sometimes headline writers do what they do. Ada has called in from Jos. Good morning, Ada.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Yori, and your guest there.
Yeah, Mr. Lawa.
Mr. Lawa. Well, it's a welcome development, but the problem is that in Nigeria, our politicians, they don't have this spirit of sportsmanship. I don't know when we'll have another good luck. I'm not saying they shouldn't go to court, but it's just a habit. It's not in their DNA. They're always contesting everything. everything. If what you're talking about is going to make the difference, fine. But then it will indict INEC itself. So INEC should sit up. But all I'm trying to say is that they should imbibe this spirit of sportsmanship. We are tired and sick about all these issues.
Okay.
And even if there's a way they can even change the electoral law and make it so that if you even want to petition, let it not go up to Supreme Court. You understand? Let it stop at the appeal court. I don't know. I mean, it's becoming something else in Nigeria. Let them make a law and let these cases stop at the appeal court. God bless you. Let's not give up for this country. It's really unfortunate.
Thank you very much for calling in,
Well,
Ada from Jos.
Maybe we should put it in proper perspective.
Because two things there. Sorry, sir. One, she said, the spirit of sportsmanship. That's to one side.
That's what I want to react to.
If indeed it is as you are stating, then this will be the indicting INEC itself.
Yes. Why would they not be? Well, the thing is that, one, we should have it in mind that the law allows any aggrieved candidate to go to court to ventilate his view. And I think that that's the most civilized thing to do. Instead of condemning whoever that had taken a gauntlet, to go to court, we should commend such person. Two, a lot of electoral reforms we have seen today were born out of issues that had arisen in courts. They were born out of judgments from election tribunals, which has assisted the government and even the INEC to do a lot of research to ensure that such things do not happen. So if we don't go to court and challenge those infractions, we wouldn't have been where we are today. Now that we have beavers today is a reflection of what has happened, the struggle through the courts and a lot of revelation that had come out from the courts that brought us to where we are. So if we want to have an acceptable electoral system, the courts should also, be allowed, people should be allowed, without condemnation to challenge the result of any election so as to, shape electoral jurisprudence.
Okay.
Secondly, as to whether INEC will be indicted, they are not angels. And the fact that they have put a system in place does not mean that there won't be mismanagement.
Okay.
It might even stem from
your contention,
inadequate
contention is that the beavers was not used properly. Therefore, causing what you lawyers sometimes call an injury to your principle. Okay.
So those are the things.
In contestation are 173,655 votes, which you, if your prayers were granted, should be removed from the figures, and then we'll see.
Then we'll now recalculate and see the winner. The winner is clearly Governor Oyetola.
Okay. Good morning, Gboyega in Abuja. Thank you for holding on.
Mr. Yori, and good morning to your guests.
Thank you. Good morning.
Yes, Oyetola held for election petition tribunal. It is right to do, and it has the, all the fundamental human rights and as democracy permits to challenge the election if you feel there's any infringement or there's somebody who did not do the right thing or something there. But the involvement of our electoral system today, like our guest said, is based on the fact that we challenge some things in the judiciary. And we thought that there are many revelations that have come up. Now, for the past 3 or 4 elections conducted, nobody has gone to court to say a figure was added, ballot boxes were snatched, this and that. It has been pre-election issue. And one of the things Oyetola went to election to defend is that the governor-elect has a forged certificate or this and that. What I'm saying is that nobody should condemn Oyetola for this. Whatever we discover from this, we'll learn from it and improve on our electoral system, and it's getting better. That to the extent that one day we can even vote during working hour, bring your office, go online and vote. These are the kind of revolution we are looking up to. So I wish him good luck. We have that. He must have his all evidence iron cast. And then it's a marathon. It's not any tribunal. He's going to the Supreme Court, which is the next 6 or 7 months or 1 year. We'll know where it is. But he has all the legal rights. When he won the other time, the other party also challenged him, and they went on to the Supreme Court, and he was declared the winner. So he has his right to do it, no matter the sentiment about it. is a rule of law. We have to go by it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling in from Abuja, Gboyega. He also brought up the matter about you're also looking at the qualifications of
yes,
of
another
that he wasn't
grant
properly qualified to contest in that election.
Yes, another grant of contesting this result was that the governor-elect now, is not qualified to run. We know that it is a common knowledge that Adeleke, as at 2019, was facing a criminal allegation of election malpractice. He went to where somebody stood in for him to write another WAEC.
You have that as a fact.
It's a fact. It's everywhere. 2019. It was when he was granted bail to travel abroad that he didn't come, that the case was withdrawn against him. So as at 2019, he had no O-level results.
Okay.
So he said he traveled and he brought certificates from Prostad College, where he said he had a diploma dated June 16, May 16, 2021. And 24 days after, he also had a BSc in criminal studies, a BSc. So our question is that, and we know that BSc program is supposed to run for 4 years, and within 24 days that you acquired an equivalent of an O-level, you have a degree, on criminal studies or what have you. So our issue is that how did you get that kind of certificate?
And therefore, what you are saying is that he wasn't qualified.
He wasn't qualified because he had presented a certificate that would not, by any reasonable standard.
So all of this is what you're bringing before the Election Petition Tribunal. I don't want to hold up Mohammed in Abuja any longer. Forgive me for interrupting you. Good morning to you, Mr. Mohammed. Please go ahead now.
Yeah, good morning, Uncle Yori. How are you?
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, I greeting the guest in the studio. He has spoken very well, and the issue of indicting INEC, that one should not come up, please, because INEC has done all what it takes to make electoral system in Nigeria very well. In fact, we need to give kudos to INEC, give kudos to the president, give kudos to National Assembly that make this possible today. As election is ending, we can now know that there are overvoting. There are some voting that is that are done without beavers. Before, we cannot identify the voting that done without the other machine. You cannot identify it. Now beavers can now identify voting that have done without beavers and voting that has done without beavers. So kudos to INEC, kudos to the president, kudos to National Assembly. My plea, my appeal, I'm begging INEC to please produce more beavers, because if we say that one polling unit, only one beaver, I'm telling you the truth, many people will be disenfranchised. Many people will not vote in Nigeria, more especially in the north, because the number are many. The number are many in Kano and all other places. Many beavers should be produced so that many beavers should be deployed for people to be able to vote. If not, if we can say one polling unit, one beaver, definitely people will not vote. The number will not come up. Except if INEC step up and produce more ideas. That is my appeal to INEC. They should please do something about beavers, produce them in numbers so that each voting unit should have like at least 10 beavers.
Okay.
At least, if you want everybody to be captured.
Okay. All right then.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mohammed, for calling in.
Yes, well, I just want to buttress what Mr. Mohammed said. You see, this issue of beavers is now a legal thing. It has been incorporated in the Electoral Act. And when you look at Section 47.3 of the Electoral Act 2022. The law says that where a smart card reader or any other technological device deployed for accreditation of voters fails to function in any unit, and a fresh card reader or technological device is not deployed, the election in that unit shall be cancelled. The word shall and another election shall be scheduled within 24 hours if the commission is satisfied that the result of the election in that polling unit will substantially affect the final result of the whole election and declaration of a winner in the constituency concerned. So the issue of beavers is not something that you can gloss over. It is, it is a legal thing that you have to follow strictly.
Because what you've just read, that is indeed your contention, that the absence of beavers affected the result
of
which
that
should
election,
then
which should ordinarily would have been, cancelled.
Make the elections be cancelled.
So it is also, and to say that nobody is indicting INEC. What we are saying is that we are bringing to fore, the inadequacies of, the system so that we can correct it before 2023 election.
Okay.
The fact that, yes, we all applaud INEC for the introduction of beavers. In fact, we need to give kudos to them because it is through beavers that we know that not all votes that are being churned out are the true and correct representation of the wishes of our people. But through beavers, we have been able to, determine that what the preference of people were not, totally reflected. And so if we do, something to correct that, error, we are going to have more acceptable election.
We keep on refining the process as we go along.
And that is why kudos should be given to Governor Oyetola for having, the guts to go to election tribunal to challenge this infraction.
Well, he did hold his peace because when everybody was rushing him, quote unquote, rushing him to congratulate the winner, he said, let's chill a bit. We're studying.
That has been his attitude. For those who know him, will know that he's a meticulous individual.
Gift in Jos. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Please go ahead.
I think the issue of Osun started all over from the last election before this one. The issue of Oyetola going to the court, I think he should ask himself in the first place what brought him to power in 2018. Yes. Because 2018, it was the first time we heard about inconclusive in election. Why? Because they wanted to sovereign Oyetola. Secondly, your guest is talking about results and the rest. Even their candidate, our president now, he had issue of evil results from the same party he's talking about. Until today, they have not done anything about the issue of the president. So what are they saying about result or no result? Oyetola should ask himself 2018 first before even thinking of going to court. I think that's my contribution.
Well, I want to thank you very much for calling in to, make it.
Well,
by the way, just coincidentally, I think it has to be coincidentally. Governor Oyetola was, he visited the president yesterday. I don't know in what connection, but he still is the sitting governor, and so he's very much on ground. I understand that projects are continuing.
Yes.
He has asked everybody, all workers, all projects, please continue as if nothing happened.
Yes.
So.
Well, he has. Oyetola was voted for 4 years. He is still the governor till November 27, if I'm not mistaken, before he will hand over to another person. The business of governance cannot stop because somebody else had won.
Okay.
Oyetola, that I know, is always a work in progress, and the work is still ongoing in Osun, and it will not stop until the last day.
Let's take a break now. Stay with us, please, because we'll come back. There might be more. There probably will be a lot more callers who want to also contribute, and maybe people comment as well. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. My guest is still Mr. Ibrahim Lawal, and he's a legal practitioner, and he's helping us, and he's very close. He has worked in Osun, in government in Osun, when the sitting governor, when the incumbent governor was chief of staff to Governor then Oyetola. So he knows the parties well, he knows the system well, and he's been quite involved in the elections in Osun. Now, he's helping us understand what the issues are in Governor Oyetola going to court. Long story short, it looks like 173,655 votes are in contention. By the way, we already showed you the figures. We had the graphic indicating the figures, and if those if the 173,655 votes are removed from the figures that have been declared, as you see, so 375 and 403, the result will be radically affected. In fact, it would give victory to Governor Oyetola. Yes. That's the contention that his team is making. And so here we are, and of course, the first respondent in the petition that has been filed by the governor is INEC itself, yes, and then PDP, of course, and then Senator Adeleke. All of these. This was last week. When will proceedings commence?
Well, we just served INEC and PDP. The governor-elect had been evasive, so he has not been able to serve him personally. But we have also...
He doesn't want to receive the service.
Yes, we have also filed an application for substituted service. We want to serve the governor-elect through his party. And so the application is before the tribunal, and it will be hard. Maybe.
So there are more, your contention because these things can be complex, although they're not really that complex. But what you are saying is that there were more votes than what Beavers accredited.
Let me even assist you. Votes. Let me go to section 51.
So that shouldn't be.
Yes, now
that shouldn't be.
Yes, section 51 sub 2 of the Electoral Act 2022 states that where the number of votes cast at an election in any polling unit exceeds the number of accredited voters in that polling unit, the presiding officer shall cancel the result of the election in that polling unit. And we have just told you that the only means of accreditation is Beavers, no other. You cannot use...
well, something else about a card reader, you are saying that
yes,
it's not Beavers
or card reader, but in this election, the INEC had settled for Beavers. So there is no contention about it. So even on their own volition, INEC on its own volition should have cancelled election in those units because the Beavers accreditation is less than the number of votes cast in those units.
But as at the time INEC was collating its figures preparatory to making an announcement, yes, it probably was not yet aware of, I'm just speculating now, because you were busy studying, and it is from studying that all of this has come out.
From their back end, they know, because when you do accreditation, it goes directly to INEC back end. Maybe because they are afraid of saying that election will be inconclusive or election will not be. They were just in a hurry to declare winners because they will know if they follow. Is it that somebody that was saddled with the responsibility of monitoring the actual number of accredited voters was not doing what he was, appointed to do, or that INEC just felt that let this election go, whoever that had issues should go to court. But the reality about what we have had that was given to us by INEC was that the Beavers accreditation did not agree with the votes cast in that election.
Okay. You've also said that it's not just this. This is very important, perhaps even the more important aspect of it, but I'm not sure which is more important between this or what the team has now come up with, which is that they want the governor-elect, his qualifications to contest that election in the first place,
Yes.
you want the system to look at that as well.
Yes.
So, and they have to address those two issues.
Yes, those are the two issues we brought before the courts, challenging a governor's qualification will not be the first time. And the PDP had also been a beneficiary of such. So there shouldn't be any issue around it. The thing about challenge to election, our electoral system is that law and emotion are not brothers. You can't be emotional about it. If you are not qualified, you are not qualified. That's nothing to do with emotion.
Okay.
Somebody called in and was asking questions whether they should, the Oyetola should ask himself one question or the other. The truth of the matter is that the law allows Governor Oyetola to go to court if he is not satisfied with the result.
That is fact.
And he has done so.
That is a fact.
So if I do not see any crime in anybody trying to also exercise his constitutional rights.
Mm-hmm. Akko, I beg your pardon. Akko has called in from Benue State. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. Yes, having heard the discussion on the television now, I will want to. Hello.
We can hear you.
Yes, having heard the discussion, I will want to tell my friend on the television there that the good people of that very state have exercised their rights. They are tired of the government. Looking at the antecedents of this government presently, the people exhibited exactly what they want the state to be. They don't want the state to be governed by Oyetola. Looking at the problem Oyetola is even having is with the elders of the party in the state. So I will now tell him, look, bringing excuses that the governor of the elected governor has this on that on certificate issue should not come. The people have exercised their rights. They have chosen the person they wanted. So bringing this on that one should not come in. The man has contested with him. Look at what the result they brought in 2018. Look at the result. Look at the result, the last election they had before now. They have to go back and say the election is inconclusive.
Okay.
But looking at it, Adeleke won.
All right. Indeed. Thank you very much for calling in, Akko, from Benue State, because I wanted to also comment that what he is saying is indeed what you are also saying, and that you're contesting, that we want it to be clear that the will of the electorate was done, but
let me even just reply to Akko. Unfortunately, he lives in Benue. He does not live in Osun. He does not even know what operates in Osun. Unfortunately, having said so, or having said that, I do not know why people should, get infuriated by somebody who wants to challenge. If truly Oyetola, Adeleke won, like he has said, then there shouldn't be any fuse with Oyetola challenging it. After all, if he truly wins, the court will decide, and it will be clear to all and sundry. I do not know why people who are outside the states wants to get more excited than those of us who are.
Well,
so
Nigerians,
that's the thing.
Football and politics. It doesn't matter where you come from.
He has a constitutional right to challenge it, and he has done so.
You said that.
Cannot now, because of that, now want to vilify him because he has challenged it.
No,
if there is nothing hidden, if you are sure of your win, you will not even bother yourself. Whoever that wants to go to court can go to court. But we have said, and nobody has faulted it, we have said that accreditation does not agree with the vote cast. And somebody will now tell me that, no, the people have expressed their... We are not saying people have not expressed, but we are saying to what extent has people expressed their wish, and if so, let it reflect that the votes churned out by INEC is not reflective of what the actual people that, voted in that election. It's as simple as that.
Exactly. So,
and I don't think it should cause any furore about it.
No.
There shouldn't be.
But you see, the point also on this program, all over the place, everybody's allowed to have their say. And what you are saying, what you are presenting is that whole process is not all that it seems. And that is what the Election Petition Tribunal will bring to the fore if indeed your prayers are granted.
As simple as that. In fact, the drafter of the law knows that you can't have any perfect system. That's why the issue of election tribunal comes in. It is legal, it is constitutional, So if they know that you don't need to go to election petition, it wouldn't be there in the first place. So if it is there and that window is accessed by anybody, we shouldn't condemn such persons.
Because
that's what I'm trying to
indeed
put across.
And also what we need to also keep in focus is, especially for the non-legal minds amongst us, is that 173,655 votes are in contention.
And in contention, it's huge.
This is
want to know.
You're saying that
those are issues.
If the court sees it, if the tribunal sees it your way, then there are these 173,000 votes that
will alter the figure, and the winner will be reversed.
If the tribunal
agree with us,
if they agree with you, and that is yet to be determined.
It's yet to be determined. We are to prove, and we are ready for the proof.
Because that was where I was going to come to the next. This whole matter of proof. You must have done your homework, because all eyes are on Osun, the Osun election, especially as we felt we had, finished with it and we were moving on. The Oyetola camp had sort of alerted us by saying that it was still studying the results, and at the end of their study, they say, hang on, this is what we were talking about. 173,000 votes here are not at all clear. They are not Beavers certified.
Yes.
And you've just been reading to us there that if it is not Beavers certified, then it doesn't count.
We have done our study, and we have looked at the certified true copy of Form EC8A as given to us by INEC.
Okay.
We had also looked at the Beavers report, the certified true copy. We have compared the two. And that, if you look at our petition, we pleaded unit by unit. Not just that we just,
unit by unit.
Unit by unit.
And there are 749 polling units.
794 polling units.
49. Or
749 polling units.
Yes, 749 across 10 local governments.
We have done our research. We have painstakingly looked at the figures, and we are very sure that we will, prove our petition
that there was an infraction. There was an infraction of the Electoral Act.
Electoral Act.
Okay.
Mazi Okoro, compliance.
Mazi Okoro in Arochukwu. Good morning, sir. Mazi, are you there? Oh dear. Mazi Okoro has called in. Okay. So where we're trying to find out if Mazi is still on there or not. Okay, I understand Mazi is back again. Good morning to you, Mazi Okorafor in Arochukwu. Okay, let's go to Mr. Mikpidon in Oshogbo. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Uncle Yori, I just thought I should chip in.
Sure.
Especially on the reason why we are still continuing with our job even after the election. The truth is that...
Mr. Omikidon, you are the Chief Press Secretary.
Yes, sir, I'm the Chief Press Secretary to the governor.
Yes. Please carry on.
The truth is that in January, January 1st to be precise, when Mr. Governor was felicitating with the people of the state, he stated clearly that, yes, this is year 2022, an election year in Osun, but that as a responsible and responsive government, we will not allow politics to take shine off governance. And in keeping true to that commitment, we ensure that even 3 weeks to the election, we were still flagging off projects. So the fact that we are still working, even after the election has come and gone, is not a testament to our commitment to the people that we will not allow politics to take shine off governance. As I speak to you, the Lameco Inform Road, which we flagged off before the election, it's still ongoing as I speak, and is nearing completion. The Elisha University, the process of which started about a year before the election, the House has just passed the bill into law, and we are still continuing. So we are working.
All right,
and,
then.
We are just showing commitment to the people of the state that regardless of whatever happens,
work
we will
continues.
continue to serve them to the best of our ability.
Okay, before you go, Mr. Omikida, thank you very much for calling in. Before you go, what was the governor doing visiting the president yesterday?
Well, before the election, he visited Mr. President. And I think, yes, before the election, he visited Mr. President where the flag was formally handed over to him. And you know that after the election, he needed to go brief Mr. President.
I see.
And yeah, that was responsible for the visit.
Oh, okay then. Well, thank you very much, Chief Press Secretary Omikida, to the Governor Omikida for calling in from there. So again, to say to people who are listening and are wondering what are the grounds, well, 749 polling units you are contesting. You're contesting that there was an issue, and this across 10 local government areas, that it doesn't match up. According to the Electoral Act, you cannot, there are more votes than were accredited by the bimodal voter accreditation system. And so how can that be? That's an infraction of...
It's non-compliance with the Electoral Act.
Non-compliance is your allegation. That's your contention for the tribunal.
Before the tribunal. We have
and you said that you did it one by one, 749 polling units.
If you see our results, if you see our petition, we pleaded each and every unit in our petition. So it was painstaking. It wasn't something that we did, in a mumbo-jumbo form. We did a painstaking job that we made it possible or easy for the tribunal to look at it, And
so, well,
I assure you that...
some people have phoned in that, in fact, I think Ada phoned in Jos phoned in that this whole matter of contention, she spoke about sportsmanship, that why won't they let it be? Although there are other people who have called in and have said, the opposite, that thank God for these provisions that enable such appeals to go forth. She spoke about sportsmanship, that in Nigeria, why don't we let go of things, generally speaking? You say that would be an unfairness, is what you're saying.
It is, because even if I'm going to let go, I must be convinced by myself that I have lost fair and square. Okay. It is not by happenstance that the governor refused to congratulate the winner. So if within me, I'm not convinced that I lost this election, then I have the right, if the law permits me.
And that is Oyetola's sincere conviction.
And one thing that we should give kudos to Oyetola for is that we want to go into another election in 2023. This revelation coming from this petition will also assist the INEC to put the house in order.
Okay. Kunle in Oshogbo, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Yori.
Thank you for calling in. Good morning.
Yes, please. I view this matter from the last statement made by your caller. We must first give kudos to INEC for devising means through which we can you hear me, Mr.
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Yes, through which we can detect multiple voting, overvoting, and sort of use technology to ascertain the views of the people. Mm-hmm. My own view on this matter is that this will be a test of whether we will have free and fair elections in 2023 or not. How do I mean? If we have been told by INEC that they have digitized and used technology to perfect the act of accreditation. Then the margin of error you expect between the actual number of voters and number of voters accredited is 0. Once there is a discrepancy, then there is a problem. And if the judiciary permits that, what it means is that there will not be any need to deploy beavers for the 2023 election. Because if you say you can permit some level of discrepancy between number of voters accredited using the beavers and number of actual voters, then what it means is that in 2023 we should expect so many bogus figures.
I hear you. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for calling in. Appreciate your call indeed. And that, quite frankly, is the case that Governor Oyetola is making.
It's time to do. So,
you know,
it should be
173,666.
Yes, I think I should also mention
and you see these figures are coming from
that are affected.
Okay, some of them.
10.
So,
just 10. Ede North, Ede South, Egbedore, Ijigbo, Ila, Ilesha West, Irepodun, Obokun, Olorunda, and Osogbo local government.
And Ede is generally known to be the stronghold of the Adelekes.
Ede North. I just gave you, one or two or three of the scenarios to prove that the elections there were not done in accordance with the rules and regulations.
And in addition, you're going to be challenging the qualifications of the candidate to have run in the first place, which INEC approved. So there's a sense in which INEC, quite frankly, is in the center of all of this.
INEC do not even have an option about qualification. If you have issues with qualification, you go to court to challenge it.
Okay.
So it's not even the approval of INEC. It does not have such power.
And one of the
either approve or disprove.
And one of the mysteries you seek to clarify is how within 24 days,
within 24 days,
a bachelor's
somebody
degree,
could get a bachelor's degree in,
after getting
the
equivalent of a school certificate examination.
School certificate.
Okay, well, thank you very much for coming along, Mr. Ibrahim Lawal.
It's my pleasure.
To sort of give us an insight into what's going on. We really, that's as much as we can take, but I think our viewers know a bit more about it, that 749 polling units across 10 local governments is what Governor Oyetola is contesting. And the figure there is 173,655. If all those votes were to be nullified, then the whole
Governor
election
Oyetola will emerge winner.
Oyetola would emerge winner. It's over to the tribunal to look at the facts before it. Thank you very much, Mr. Ibrahim.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Indeed. So that's our program today. Our next program is on Monday, so do have a great weekend. I am Yori Folarin. Please join us on Monday for a fresh edition of our program.